Thank you so much for joining me again. Today, I want to talk about those movies in my series about the movies that make you cry, some of the biggest blockbusters of all times. But today, we're going to talk about a movie that most of you have probably watched many times before. Some of you may never have seen it. You're missing a treat. It is Imitation of Life. This is a fantastic movie that we all grew up looking at. I remember back when I was younger, we would snuggle up in the den when the late show came on. I'm dating myself, and we'd all sit there together as a family watching this movie as if we've never seen it before. And then everyone would act like they weren't crying whenever the big scene happened. But what I want to do today is just talk about some of the backstory of this great movie and some of the things you may not know about Imitation of Life. So let's just go straight to it. So the first thing you need to know is that there are two versions. Yes, there's the 1934 version that starred Claudette Colbert and Louise Beavers. Now, this scene's a little different from the 1959 version. This one is set at a time when there was around the 30s during the Depression era, and things were hard. And here's this white lady with a child and a black lady with a child, and they're trying to make it. And then all of a sudden, the black lady has an idea or does something very well. She makes pancakes. Now, this is very kind of stereotypical because they kind of mirror it to look like she was the face of Aunt Jemima pancakes and things of that nature, and she becomes a pancake queen. So what's so strange about this, though, is they become good friends. Delilah is her name in the movie, and she becomes a rich person off of her pancake recipe. But the deal is, what's so strange and really weird is that even though it's her idea, B, that's the Claudette Colbert character, she gives her 20% of the company. It's her idea, but she gets 20%. And she stays to be this happy-go-lucky servant and friends and the whole bit. Great version. But what's so great about the first version is the character Sarah Jane. The 1959 version of Imitation of Life, the character Sarah Jane was played by a white actress who was of Mexican and Czech descent, Susan Kohner. But the 1934 version was actually played by a black woman, Freddie Washington. She was a light-skinned black woman that had a hard time in Hollywood because she wasn't dark enough to play black characters. And because of the Hays Code, and the Hays Code is kind of a code where they set these guidelines of things you couldn't do. You couldn't, like, the bad guy should never win. There was no kind of sexual activity on screen. There was no mixing of races. So even though, because she identified as a black woman, she could never play in a romantic lead with a white man because of these codes. Now, there's something that's called the pre-code. Before 19, the pre-code movies, before in the early areas, there were movies that were pre-code. You would see things that you wouldn't think of in these earlier movies before the Hays Code came about. So that was part of the reason why the character was a little different in the 30s movie. She did not have a love relationship of any sort, and that was not going to happen. So right now, I want to show you just a small clip from the 1934 version of Imitation of Life, and we'll see the disparaging differences between the two films. So here we go. Here's a clip from the 1934 movie Imitation of Life, starring Louise Beavers and Claudette Colbert.
Good afternoon, ma'am. It's raining so hard. I brought rubbers and coat to fetch my little girl home.
I'm afraid you've made some mistake.
Ain't this the 3B?
Yes.
Well, this is it.
It can't be it. I had no little colored children in my class.
Oh, thank you. There's my little girl.
Viola, you may go home.
I didn't know she was colored. Neither did I.
I hate you. I hate you. I hate you.
Viola. Viola.
So this movie was hugely successful. I mean, very, very successful in its day. Hollywood had a love affair with these movies about colorism and race and black and white together. So they call it a remake, but it was more of a reimagining in the 1959 version because it was getting close around the civil rights era, so they couldn't very well do the movie as it was with a pancake queen, a servant, the whole Aunt Jemima vibe. So they updated it. They made the character, Miss Meredith, Laura Meredith, a Broadway star. And there's Annie, a church-going woman who has this daughter. And they just lightened it up a bit, but they did not use a black actress at all. Now, that was kind of strange. They didn't really test a lot of black actresses for that part, so they ended up choosing Susan Conner for the Sarah Jane character, and then they used Juanita Moore. Juanita Moore played the Annie character. All right, here's a story I bet you didn't know. So Mahalia Jackson, the gospel singer, she was first approached to play the role of Annie. Yeah, Mahalia Jackson, who sings in the movie. But Mahalia was not one to do anything like that. She told the director that she is not an actor. She's definitely just a singer, but she wanted to do something in the movie. So she told the director about a friend that she had, and that friend was Juanita Moore. So basically, Juanita Moore was relatively an unknown, was given this role because Mahalia Jackson suggested her. Now, of course, Mahalia Jackson went on to sing that tear-jerking song, Sooner Will Be Done, or The Troubles of the World, in that movie. So it all worked out very well. Let's talk about Lana Turner. Lana Turner was a huge star, big MGM star. She got this role, she wanted this role, and of course she had a lot of drive and demands. Mainly was the wardrobe. Her wardrobe was over $1 million in wardrobes. If you look at the 1959 version, you'll see the beautiful gowns that she wore in that movie. They were quite spectacular. But what Lana did was she knew this movie had something, so she negotiated to get a part of the whole profits and ended up making a big $2 million off of this movie, which was a lot for that time. So she did well. Now, Lana's life was not going so well. Here she is. She's a story all in herself. Her daughter, Cheryl Crane, had just killed her lover, the gangster Johnny Stampanato. So her name was out there, and she was a big box office draw in spite of that. Sometimes scandal will make your career a lot better, which is what was going on with Lana. But what I want to show you right now is this is going to be a spoiler alert for those of you who haven't seen it. This is the scene that I think is the most powerful scene in the whole movie of the 1959 version, is when the two ladies who become friends finally get to this point where it is not looking so good, and they are really getting to show their friendship. And this scene is quite striking. We'll be right back.
Oh, Alec, don't talk. I got to talk. I've got to. Oh, please. Please, not now.
You stop crying.
But I...
No, listen to me.
All right, I'm listening.
When my bills are all paid, I want everything that's left to go to Sarah Jane.
Of course.
Mr. Steve.
Yes, Annie.
Find her, Mr. Steve. Find her.
I will. You may be sure I will.
Thank you. Miss Laura, just tell her. Tell her I know I was selfish. And if I loved her too much, I'm sorry. But I didn't mean to cause her any trouble. She was all I had. Tell her, Miss Laura.
Oh, please, Harry.
Promise me. Promise me.
I promise.
My pearl necklace.
Yes.
I want you to give it to Susie for her wedding. Give her a real bridey wedding with all the fixings. Our wedding day and the day we die. The great events of life.
Oh, Annie. Annie, darling.
There's no cause to cry. Reverend,
Yes, Annie?
I'd like for your wife to have my fur scarf. She always admired that fur. She never believed me when I said it was genuine mink.
She did, Annie. She did.
Oh, please, you don't have to.
And I want Mr. McKinney to have a nice, clean $50 bill.
Mr. McKinney?
The milkman at the old Coldwater flat. He was so nice and understanding about the bill. I always sent him a little something at Christmas time in both our names.
You've been so good.
Sure hope you're right, Miss Laura. I'd like to be standing with the lambs and not with the goats on Judgment Day. And my funeral, Mr. Steve, you, especially the 4 white horses and a band playing. No mourning, but proud and high-stepping, like I was going to glory.
No, I won't listen. There isn't going to be any funeral. Not for a long, long time. You can't leave me. I won't let you.
I'm just tired, Miss Laura. Awfully tired.
Annie! Annie! No!
Wow, that was intense, right? Yeah, intense. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about the some of the actors that actually were up for roles. Natalie Wood was actually up for the role of Susie, and Pearl Bailey almost really had the part of Annie until this unknown Juanita Moore came along and she got the part. So we could have been seeing a Imitation of Life with Natalie Wood and Pearl Bailey. But I don't know. How would that go? I don't know. So the film went on to win no Academy Awards. There were 2 nominations. Susan Conner, who played Sarah Jane, and Juanita Moore, who played Annie, which was one of the earlier nominations for a black actress that we've had. So that was quite a feat for both. Susan Conner did go on to win the Golden Globe for her performance as Sarah Jane in the movie. So if you've never seen Imitation of Life before, this is a movie that we consider to be a classic. There are not too many people who haven't seen it, but there are some who haven't. So if you find someone who has not seen this movie, sit them down and let them watch it, and don't tell them anything about it, and let's see how they make it through the film. This is a great film, and I want to show you one more clip to show you how Hollywood has always dealt with black and white. It's always been kind of interesting how they did it. So this is the scene which I consider to be a very, it's a hard to watch scene. This is the scene when Susan Conner and her boyfriend, played by Troy Donahue, come to grips, when he understands and finds out who she really is. So, sorry to leave you on such a bad note on the film, but thank you so much for listening with me again, and check out my YouTube channel, like and subscribe. I'm Classic Kalo Star. Have a wonderful day and enjoy the movies. Bye now.
Frankie, you're late. I thought you'd never get here. Let's walk down by the river. I want to talk to you.
We can talk here.
Frankie, I'm having trouble at home.
Your mother?
Yes. Frankie, you said you wanted to take a job in Jersey. Couldn't we run away? I'd do anything to be with you. Anything.
That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea at all. Just tell me one thing.
Yes?
Is it true?
Is what true?
Is your mother a nigger? Tell me. Tell me!
What difference does it make? You love me.
All the kids talking behind my back. Is it true?
No.
Are you black?
No, I'm as white as you.
You're lying!
I'm not.
You're lying!
I'm not. I'm not.